My name is Sam Manicom, and I'd like to introduce you to my bike Lucky. She's a BMW F800 GS, and I've owned her now for, about 6 years. I've only ever owned two other bikes. One was the little 125 that I learned to ride on. I passed my test in 6 weeks, that was fun. And then my round-the-world travel bike, which was a BMW R80 GS. She's got 285,000 miles on her now. But Lucky stays in the States for when I'm coming over to do trips here. And I'd like to introduce you to her and to the things that I've been able to do with her. Top first, I put this windscreen extender on because I don't want to sit in the full blast. I'm always impressed with people who ride with no screens at all. But this extension I really like because it gives me the opportunity to flex it to exactly my height and my body build. The next thing on the bike that I really like is this headlight guard. I've ridden with people who rock's thrown up on dirt roads and all of a sudden you've got a very expensive repair job going on. So a little money on a windscreen guard, that works very well. These bash bars, these are from Outback Motor Tech, and they are just superbly designed. And I do have a reputation for falling off, and I love these. They have saved me a lot of money, expenses on repairs. The next thing that happens on the front of the bike are these tank panniers. I like tank panniers because they allow me to carry my water, my oils, that sort of thing, to the front of the bike and between the wheels, and that helps me with lowering my centre of gravity. These are by a Scottish company called Lomo, and they're really good quality. Next is the tank bag. Now, I'm a bit old school. I love planning my trips with maps, and I always like to have one to hand in case my GPS isn't working. I'd like to have a bag that I can grab in a hurry. I call it my walk-away bag, and it needs to be able to be used as a rucksack. So I have this one from Wolfman. The GPS that I'm using is the XT2, and I love this thing. I've always been a little bit cynical about GPSs because, but this, absolutely phenomenal. Day, night, route planning, the works. One last thing up here that I want to show you are these mirrors. These are made by Moto Manufacturing, and they're quite trick in that these points are swivel. So if you hit the deck, then the mirrors just twist and you don't break them. But this loop here, that's so that you can just put a locking cable through and you can lock your helmet to the handlebars if you're just going to scoot away for a few minutes. This little tube just here, which you can probably only hardly see, this is part of a Motor Breeze chain oiler kit. I like the idea of having a chain oiler kit because everybody tells me keep your chain in good condition and your chain is going to help you smile a lot. It's a very simple system in that it's done by wind pressure. So the faster you go, the more air goes down inside this tube. The more air that goes down inside the tube, the more oil gets dropped down and onto the chain. There's a little reservoir under the saddle which you fill, and that's all there is to it. It's wonderfully simple and works amazingly. This is a mod that I really like, my sheepskin saddle cover. I love it because it's a multi-purpose bit of kit. For starters, it's a lot cooler to sit on hot days because you're not then plonking your backside down onto a black plastic saddle cover. On cold days, it's a lot warmer to sit on, but one of the beauties of these is as they age a little bit, the surfaces become knobbly. And when those surfaces become knobbly, all the time you're riding, it's almost like your backside is getting this wonderful little massage. So it elongates your journey with comfort. These are the Jesse panniers. They're a bit of kit that I like a lot, and I like them for multiple reasons. The first reason is that when you're riding solo, you can push them forward, and it is literally a simple sliding action on the bars at the back. When you're riding two up, you can just pull them back again, and that gives your passenger that much more leg space. And the beauty of that is, of course, you're getting as much weight as you can between the wheels where you can, and that affects the handling of the bike. The next thing that I like is you've got these corners that are chamfered, which means that you've got slopes in on the bottom on all of the sides. Now that makes it structurally much stronger, but also particularly with this front one, if you dab your foot when you're riding, you're much less likely to catch it under a sharp edge. And yeah, that makes an awful lot of sense. Another trick thing about these panniers is that they have these loops on the lids, and that means that I can use luggage straps, so I can fairly distribute the weight that I'm carrying over a much lower area. That means that I'm wind catching a lot less when I'm fully loaded. The final thing that I really like about these is when you open the lids, they're really strongly hinged, but you've got access to double the amount of stuff that you've got, rather than the ones where it's a thin lid and it just goes straight in. These straps from Green Chili have turned into my all-time favourite straps. Several reasons. The first reason is the quality of the mechanisms. The second reason is the fact that they fit on so many different places on the bike. I love the fact that they're not elasticated all the way along. So when I'm riding off-road, there's this little bit of elastic, but everything else holds your gear down nice and tight onto the bike. One of the previous owners of this bike had the good common sense to fit a great bit of kit, and that is this camel tank. I love this tank because with the range that the bike already had and the extra that this has, gives me about 7 gallons worth of fuel, and I can go an awfully long way on that. It stops me thinking about the next gas station and more about where I'm riding. Now on this trip, for the first time, I've been riding on Mitas tyres. These are E07 Enduro Trails. And quite frankly, they're the best tyres that I've ever ridden on. I am so impressed. The grip on these things is absolutely phenomenal. Even in the tightest of corners, they just suck to the ground. I've been totally impressed with the grip on gravel. They're just planted, they're comfortable. They make me feel like a better rider than I actually am. The key thing with these tyres is for a long distance rider, the longevity of these. This back tyre now has 8,000 miles on it. Well, front one does too. And the wear is just amazing. I reckon I've got at least another 1,000, maybe even 2,000 miles worth of mixed riding to be able to do on them. These Denali lights have been an addition to the bike that have made a phenomenal difference about riding, both in daylight and at night time. The brightness of them, in daylight I've been coming towards a junction and I've seen cars start to pull out, they see the lights and bang, down those noses go. So the sense of security that it gives me is fantastic. At night time, wow, it's like turning the roads into daylight. I love it. I never used to be a great fan of nighttime riding, but with these, I ride with a smile. One of the things that I love about motorcycling is that we can make our bikes our own. We can make them fit us and the things that we want to do with them. I really like how Lucky's kitted out, and as a result, she does everything I ask of her. See you on the road, I hope.